Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited about our presentation today and our trainer. We have Executive Director for the Center for Instructional Innovation and Technology Services here, Charlene Stubblefield. And she's going to talk to us about how the Center for Instructional Innovation and Technology Services supports research before, during, and after the pandemic. And before we get started with her presentation, with her training today, I want to remind you all that we will be recording today's session. It will be available for you to view on our YouTube channel, which is PVAMU Research, and that we have a grant writing workshop on Wednesday of this week. And if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and register for Research and Innovation Week. Those emails are going out. They've gone out twice, and we'll make sure that they go out again this week. So without any more hesitation, I'd like to introduce to you Charlene Stubblefield. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to all that you have to share.
Good morning, everyone. It is definitely great to be here. Definitely have two things that I want to do today. I want to talk about research, but I also at the same time want to promote what the Center for Instructional Innovation and Technology Services can do for you as researchers. I'll go ahead and share my screen at this point. I won't ask the question that we all ask, can everybody see my screen? I'm just going to assume that you can. Again, my name is Charlene Stubblefield, and we lovingly call this long name for our department CIITS. So welcome to a session on CIITS. We definitely want to talk about and let you know how can we support you all with research as far as technology-wise. We are the academic part of the campus. Many of you have heard of the IT portion, but we're the academic side of it. But how can we support you? So one of the things that we wanted to do was bring you to our website, because we feel like our website tells the story of how we support you as researchers. So before pandemic, let's talk about that first. Before the pandemic, everything was kind of normal. I have to admit, there were not a lot of researchers needing our technical support. You kind of had your own way of how you wanted to do some things. But one of the things that we did was we supported you with simply making sure you had access to e-courses. Most researchers are using it as far as their classes, but there is a way to also use e-courses outside of the classroom. If you had a group of students, maybe a club, and you wanted an electronic place to bring your students together, maybe even setting up sessions, maybe you have a special speaker, you could use e-course to do that. Because think about it, with e-courses, you could tie it together by, number one, having the recorded lecture in that session. Number two, using a campus resource as a way to group your students together. Think about it as if it was one of your clubs or your students, where within e-courses, there are so many integral tools that could be used. You could put bibliographies together that the students could use on a rotating basis. You may have done something last semester and you want to re-implement it again this semester. If you reach out to us, we can set up a special, it would be considered a class, but we could set it up enrolling whoever you want to be in that class. Now, I'm speaking about it from a student standpoint. It could be that faculty, not just at Prairie, but at other institutions. Maybe you're a part of an association, that this association, maybe you don't have a place to house your content. Think of e-courses as that. Broaden it beyond just being able to put class content, but it could be any kind of content in e-courses. And we could assist you with enrolling 10 people, or you giving us an Excel spreadsheet of a list of people, uploading more than that. So that's where we start. We've already had this, but I don't think people look at e-courses as a place to gather electronically. Think about it. Think about it. If you have questions, I'll let Ms. Cotton, Dr. Cotton, jump in to deal with the questions. The next thing we were doing before pandemic was things like we already had our frequently asked questions. You guys know about that part of it. I think Prairie View is pretty decent at dealing with frequently asked questions. The other thing that we did was before pandemic, we know we had the online exams for any institution where you want a proctored exam versus a electronically proctored or physically proctored. Those are the things that we could do. And even still, you tie that to research, any type of exam or testing environment that you need. We have that here. So let's jump now for a moment to during pandemic. What in the world happened? There were so many things that happened to the world, but what happened to us? I can tell you now that our department has been preparing for pandemic since its inception. You'll see another quote on here that says the Pony Express was the first distance learning program. Well, we've been preparing. Never in a million years did we ever thought or just even conceive that we would have an opportunity that we have now. Some people see the pandemic as a negative. We're putting a spin on that. We're seeing it as a positive. So one of the first things we did when pandemic started was to create this continued teaching plan. And I'll tell you, as I go through this, I'm not going to click on any of the buttons. I just want to talk about them so that you can understand what's there. And at the end, I'll show you where you can go out and access the different information under it yourself. Because I really wanted this presentation to be not necessarily a talking head, but to reason with the negativity on this side of your brain where you think Prairie View doesn't have fill in the blank. And I'm here to dispel that, to say not only do we have it, we're innovators in it, and we're innovative in helping those of you who are researchers to use all the technology. So what happened with the continuing education plan or teaching plan, this was what we put in place to carry us through. Last year, this time, what were you doing? Think about it for a minute. Actually, let's put that in the chat. Let's get interactive with this presentation for a moment. Last year, this time, where were you? What were you doing? Most of us were on spring break, maybe excited that we were going to get a 2-week spring break. Where were you and what were you doing last year? Go ahead and start typing it in the chat. We actually want to know, what were you doing? Where were you last year this time? I want to bring just clarity to the excitement of getting away from students. Maybe for some of you, it was getting away from family, but what were you doing during spring break? What were you preparing for? What were you doing last year this time? I actually want you to type it.
So what were you doing professionally?
Well, you weren't, it could be professionally, it could be anything. What were you doing? This is leading up to just what were you doing before the pandemic hit, before you realized that there was actually a pandemic in place? What were you doing? Some were preparing for research. Hawaii was going on. Some people, I love it. Some people weren't a part of Prairie View yet. You were at a different place. Some people just started working at Prairie View. What were you doing as far as your career in regarding? So what we were doing, we were minding our own business, preparing to train a small number of faculty on this new learning and management system we call Canvas. That's what we were doing. And all of a sudden we were told, hey, just in case this pandemic is worse than we think, why don't you guys prepare online and face-to-face training? Why don't you guys go ahead and do that? That's what we did. So this contingency plan literally was us putting that into motion. The only reason we could successfully create this contingency plan is over the years, we had done our research on what is best practices for our industry. It's something you do all the time, but it was something we had been doing before the pandemic. I wouldn't have even called it research. It was just something we gathered, but this was what the research that we did. And I know that my department has this long title, but it's basically distance learning. What was distance learning doing before the pandemic? So what's happened after that is, the next thing we'll go to is, from the student standpoint, what are their needs regarding research? As far as our office, from the student standpoint, what they needed was, before pandemic, we were just simply designing research posters, just that simple. Students would come to our office, I'm sure from some of your classes, they would travel the country, sometimes the world, and they would have their poster rolled up under their arms, ready to go, right? What we did was we ensured that Prairie View students leaving here, printing from our services, we made sure that their posters reflected professional poster structure or formatting. We know that some of our students are part of fraternities and sororities, and they love their purple and gold and they love their pink and green. However, in a research poster, that may not necessarily be necessary to have your organization colors. So we encourage the students, as they're printing the posters, to make sure that the structure was there, that they had the methodology, that they had the references, and we would require that they use a certain format. So that there were many times that I had an opportunity to travel places, and regarding our student researchers, we were complimented on how our student posters looked. I didn't think it was a big deal. I really didn't. I thought all institutions did this. However, I had an opportunity to be a judge in a research based presentation. And then I saw the differences in the quality of posters. So that's one of the things our office provides for researchers, so that if you have a class of students and they're about to do presentations and they're going to go to Kinko spending a lot of money, you can send them to us. Right now, I've gotten permission from the provost that during pandemic, any of these posters that need to be printed, we're just doing them free of charge. We're not going to charge the students anything. Now, after the pandemic, they'll charge less than what the other services charge, but we still have this service on campus for students. You may ask where. I'll answer that at the end of the presentation. Now, the other reason I'm going through, just lingering on this slide for a moment, I wanted you to see that as far as research, there is a huge concern for security, identity. These are things that we deal with from the point of view of the student, but we can also support you. For instance, if you're collaborating with someone and you need that space to do the collaboration, you need that space to have it securely, we can support that. We have a product called PVU2. How many of you knew that PVU2 existed? Go ahead and put it in the chat. If you've ever heard of PVU2, go ahead and let me know. I'll wait for it. I'll wait for it. Oh, never heard of it. Okay. Some people have heard of it. Some people haven't. More people are familiar with it than I thought would be familiar with it. So you may ask, how does PVU2 benefit me as a researcher? If there is a video or some type of resources that you're restricted from sharing because of security or plagiarism purposes, PVU2 allows, our department can upload it to our internal private YouTube service, where once it's uploaded there, you're able to distribute it to students. It's in a secure area, and then after, just say the semester is over, we would either delete it, and we really wouldn't delete it, especially if it's something you're going to use over and over again, semester after semester. We would just restrict access, but it gives you a way to upload, especially, just say if you did it on YouTube, it may be an hour long, it would take a moment. You could literally have the area that we've had a lot of people using it, and especially been nursing. Nursing have had these old DVDs that have good content, and they want to share it, but they don't know how to share it. What they do is give us those DVDs. We upload them to the YouTube service. So now you have another place to access your content. And then again, it's still under privacy. Depending on how we set it up, we could set it up where the world could see it, but we could also set it up where only students with PVAMU email addresses could see it, or only people who you provide the access to that you want to see it. So that's one of the things we do regarding research. I know that that question wasn't necessarily for us, but also PVU-Tube is powered by Panopto. So if you want to go out there and check out Panopto. However, let's talk about plagiarism for a moment. I know that plagiarism is huge for researchers. What we provide for them is in Canvas, our learning management system, we have what are called plugins. And in this plugin area, there are lots of different tools. These are the tools we currently have. If there is any integrated software that you as a researcher use and you never thought, I wonder, can that tool, that electronic application, I wonder, can it be used in Canvas, or is there a Canvas link, or can we do it? These are the tools we've used so far. So even going down to the point of, I'm trying to think of some of the ones that you would use. The one that comes to mind definitely is Turnitin. What we've had our doctoral students use Turnitin to confirm that, you know, what's their numbers as far as the plagiarism, or I know some departments require less than 10%. Some of them require less than 5% as far as in duplication. What we're able to do is we have where you can give us access, and the repository where all of the content is, we can set it up where the student's information does not go to the general public repository. So it's an internal way to kind of proof your paper for plagiarism without it being put in the repository before you publish it. That's huge. That's huge. We've had students use it when they're taking comp exams. We've had them use it for their dissertation, but it's just a safe way to run your information through, get the numbers. Maybe you want to, maybe you didn't realize, a lot of times with professionals, it's the way they cite something that makes it end up appearing to be plagiarized, where you can see that ahead of time to make sure you limit that or handle it before you put it out there in the public and you're caught in a different manner as far as plagiarism. So that's another resource that we offer. As someone is saying Proctorio, we do use Respondus in the lockdown browser, but Proctorio is another great tool for research. So think of all of these tools as tools that can be twisted with a spin to support you as a researcher, okay? So at this point, I want to go back to some of the other areas. You may look on here and say, what state authorization have to do with research? What in the heck? What does it have to do with research? How this has to do with research, state authorization deals with when students do not live in the state and they're taking online courses or doing anything dealing with our university, but they don't physically live here. There was some lifting of mandates that occurred that has ended. So now as a university, we have to be aware of and know what's going on with our students that are out of state. Does this restrict us from the students? Not necessarily, but there are some things we have to do specifically with licensures. We would not want our students to go through our curriculum and think that they're going to get a license when the license says you can't get it unless you live in the state of Texas. So we're required to tell students up front that they can, what the restrictions are in different programs. So this is what state authorization does. So even with that, this is how CIITS, the Center for Instructional Innovation Technology Services, support you. The other thing we talk about with online programs, there are not a lot of online programs, but I want you to think of this as online research. How can I take some of the tools, the Canvas, the Turnitin, how can I build out my research content in there so that I can securely share it? That's another area that you can think of. And at this point, if there are any questions, please jump in and let me know. So one of the things Dr. Cotton and I were talking about was some of the research that's required. For instance, if someone needed research on cancer or mass shootings or COVID-19, if they came to Prairie View and did not know you personally, how would they find this information? What's the best way for them to go? Some people would say, oh, they can go to our Marcom, but Marcom's list is only as current as the person who's provided the information. Our team is a part of lots of integration. And one of the tools that we're currently working on with integration is a tool called Interfolio. When Interfolio is complete, it will be a way for internal and outside people to search on you as an expert in something. For instance, if you're needed to do an interview with national news, or if a HISD school is using research and want to know who's the expert in this, who's doing the research in this. Because our department sees technology very similar as we see with e-courses, what we do is we literally implement the same way we've implemented this product, and we're a part of that. So we would encourage you to understand that these products are coming soon, that you'll be able to use them so that people can find you when it comes to your expertise, or what's the research, or what's the area where it has your latest and greatest, the latest and greatest things you published. Where can we find that? How can it benefit us? This product called Interfolio will allow you to see that. Making a note of that. Okay. And please ask questions at this point. I'm going to come back to this page for a minute. Do we use is Proctorio used for anti-plagiarisms? Right now, the version we're using Proctorio for is more or less dealing with exams. It's dealing with proctoring exams more than anti-plagiarism checking. If it does that, we haven't implemented that piece of it yet. But right now, we were just trying to give the university options as far as plagiarism, as far as proctoring, not necessarily. Okay, so regarding the further part of our department, I'm going to go ahead and go to our website, and I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. And what I'm going to do is now go to the website and click on some things to show you what's behind the tools that you're able to access. And please ask questions. We want to show you, while I'm pulling this up, the other thing I want to talk about is, as a researcher, you may want to produce a video, but you want it to be polished. It could be that you wanted some animation in it, or you're doing a research project with your students over in your building, and maybe the students are just going to use their iPhone to produce the video. I would tell you, please stop, hold up, we can help you. We have equipment in our area, and we have the expertise over there where we can actually produce a quality video for you. And I know Ms. Cotton has taken advantage of our services. We can do that for you. It's not a problem. You may not know that we exist for that purpose, but we are here. Let me go ahead and go to our website. And I want to show you one of the videos that we produced. Now this video, and I know that it may be very large on your screen, but this is a sense of, some of our staff, but some of it is some of these cool little videos that we produced. Think about how we could support you in the same. We've supported the registrar's office. We were the ones in the background filming the TEDx PVAMU. We've done some things for music and theater. We've done some things for Mr. and Miss PV. These are all clips of editing or videos that we've produced. And this is the one I love. It's just this mixture of all these different videos put together. This is another 3D printing. These are all videos that we produced. Now think about it. Do you have any that you're interested in? Did you know you could do these things? Did you know we had a light board over in our area? Our area, you may wonder, it is the Center for Innovation, and it's over in the Panther CIC library. You'll be able to access it. So what I want to do is I want to click on, we want to talk about the open education resources at this point. Open education resources, before I click there, let me ask, how many of you are familiar with OER or even ever heard of it? How many of you participated in open education resources? If you didn't know, many of our students are complaining throughout the A&M system about the cost of books. They are upset, they are frustrated. So what open education resources do is allow you as a researcher to pull the current, latest and greatest content that's out there and available that's free, and you develop your course content based on that instead of having the students pay $100 for a book. So this is another area we support the university with. And I want to pull this up. Let's go ahead and go to the OER area. And this is just this basic information about what OER is. How do we support it? It talks about the Creative Commons. You would think our area should only be distance learning and only Canvas, but we're so much more. We're anything that you could think of that involves academic technology. That's what we are. So we do support with OER. Just say you have content and it's just a plain old PowerPoint and nothing else. What we can do with the OER is to help you understand how to use SoftChalk and H5P and some of the Creative Commons to create and take your current content that I've seen content that was actually in just still paper form, handwritten. I've seen it here on this campus. We could take that content and put it into some of these creative tools to make it polished to present to students. This is an area that students are really excited about and looking forward to. Think about back in the olden days when you were a student and paid all that money for books. This is another alternative to this. There are some students on campus who never buy a book, but they're making it through. They're finding the resources online. Even resources that you don't think is online, they're finding it. So this is one of the tools that we support you in producing quality OER products. Okay. Some of the other things, and then, you know, I'll go ahead and click on Canvas. I know that many of you are familiar with it. Logging in, the verification. Don't we just hate this? I do. I actually hate logging in, but we'll do it anyhow. This is for security purposes. This is what we have to do. But I just wanted to go out there and give you a sense of some things that you may not have known about in Canvas. One of the things is here they put up a message introducing Proctorio as far as the online proctoring part of our Proctorio. The reason I'm showing you this is I want you to see, for us, this is just simply an announcement. This is just an announcement. So as a researcher, maybe you have a survey that you want to go out to all the students. You've already sent it out to their email addresses and you stopped. But there's another thing you could do. If you reach out to us, we could put that same announcement so that when students log into e-courses, they would be able to click on your survey, or they would be able to click on your link, or we could support in distributing your content to students. So don't forget about that part of it. You may say, well, do I do one or the other? Why not do both? It's a rumor on campus that students never read email. So why not put it here as another service so that you would be able to reach out to the students? What I was talking about earlier when I was saying you could create a class here, or I'm going to say a container. You could create a container, and this container could literally be your research project where your students, faculty, whether on campus or off campus, would be able to access this. Yes, we can give people outside of Prairie View access to Canvas on a limited basis for a specific project. We can do that. And here's one, the oratory contest. What we did here was, instead of having it the old-fashioned way, we asked, or we work with them. Now it is actually a container in Canvas where the students are out here. This competition is going on right now. Are there competitions that you're working on, or different information you want to pass out, think about Canvas as a place to use it for your research. Think about it. Think about it. If you were putting something and you're like, well, I want it out there, but I don't want it published yet. I'm still working on it. I'm not sure. We can put it in Canvas and not publish it, where you would have content, where you can work on it, throughout the duration until you're ready for it to be published. And even after your content is published, it's only published to who you want to have it. There's still the security of your information in Canvas. Okay? Okay. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to go ahead and see if there are questions for us in the Center for Instructional Innovation. How do we add students to our research classes? Good question. If it's a class, usually students would be added through Banner. Normally, we don't add students that's in a regular class. We, within, if I'm not mistaken, 24 hours, just say at the most, after they've registered through Banner, they get added. But if these are a different type of research class, a the classes that are not considered the classes that a student would register for, you would send us a list of the students and their email addresses, and we can get them added from there. It's just that simple. How do you create a container? Good question. Either you can create it or we can create it for you. My suggestion is you allow us to create it or assist you the first time you're trying to create something. I don't know if we've made it open that you can create your own yet. We'd rather let you allow us to do it so that we can train you, give you the tips to make sure you understand how to do it. I don't believe there is an option that you can self-enroll your students in these. I don't believe that's available yet, but let us support you the first go round. You may say, I'm techie. Why do I need your help? What we found is even our most technical people who know technology, when they try to do it by themselves, you end up calling us a lot of times. So it's easier for us to take you through some training first, and then after the training, we can make it available so that you can do it on your own. How do I get cameras to shoot videos? Awesome. Okay, so we have cameras that can be checked out. With Panther CIC, this is the Panther Collaboration and Innovation Commons. It's the third floor of the library. If you have not been to the third floor of the library of Prairie University, shame on you. Go check out Panther CIC. It's this great place of collaboration and innovation for students. Students are literally able to, this is the thing that I came up with. They're in the present, thinking about their futures, but they're seeing images and quotes from the past to inspire them. The whiteboards over there they're not just plain whiteboards. I think we may be the only institution that I know of, because we're the ones that thought of this idea of getting some of the old images from the library. And Phyllis Earls was one of the ones who helped us pull this information, so that the whiteboards, there is a light image of what was going on 50 years ago, 60 years ago on the campus. And we know without a doubt, we've heard students say that going to this place makes them want to study longer. That's a benefit. But anyway, back to the commercial of how you can get the cameras. If you reach out to us and you're like, how do I reach out? Just email CIITS@pvamu.edu. Again, I'll have it at the end, that's CIITS@pvamu.edu. You let us know what you want. We'll see if we have it available. You can actually check it out. When the campus really opens back up, students will probably have the cameras more than you have, but we haven't opened that part up. We won't open it up with availability until after the pandemic. So let's imagine you have a project. You're like, I want to set it up. All I want to do is maybe I want to use a studio. We actually have 2 video studios over in Panthers in the library in Panther CIC. They're available for you. You can come and reserve them. We have a light board over there to check out for you as a researcher. So when you want to check out something, just simply email us and we'll let you know. Now, one of the questions was, do I have access to camera personnel to help with the shooting? Yes, you do. However, we ask that you schedule it. You have to tell us way in advance. My suggestion is, when you're first starting your project, meet with one of our multimedia specialists for maybe 30 minutes to give him a sense of what you're trying to do. They will help you do the best product. What we found is people have this idea of what they want the shooting to look like, and it's old-fashioned. It's not innovative and it's not interesting. And by the time we get there, all we can do is reproduce what you want, this old-fashioned technology. Why not get with this multimedia person in the beginning and they can give you some really cool ideas to promote your project? Do we have editing staff? Yes, we have editing staff. Again, when things really open back up, time is going to be of essence. This is the first time that I'm about to start saying no to projects that come to us at the last minute. I cannot save and rescue everybody anymore. So we're moving away from that. We cannot help y'all. So at this point, again, if you can give us like a quick meeting at the beginning of your project, we can actually give you some things to make your life easier and to do that with your project. So again, we have cameras, we have tripods, we have the dollies, we have the rolling dollies, we have just all of those tools. We have that. Come and see us. Come and see us. We also have, thank you. We also, do we have 3D printing? Oh my goodness, Dr. Moore. Oh, the only reason we do not have 3D printing is because there is no room. And you better believe if I can find room, I'm going to get a 3D printer. However, our neighbors across the street, architecture, they do have 3D printing. They do, and they will allow you to be able to see it, everything. So at this point, they actually have 3D printing. I want to show you something else, and I know my time is winding up. I wanted to show you another course that I think would be beneficial as far as from a research point of view. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. These are great, great questions, great questions. Because you thought there's a lot of things you're introducing research to the campus, but I think our department can partner with many researchers to help you promote your research. So that's the guts of this presentation. But I just wanted to share with you, this is a container with research information in it and that someone has used. It's very simple to put together, just showing you what your container could look like. And then under people, it could be a list of who the people who may have access to your course, but it's just something very simple. This may be something you're doing maybe via email, and this container allows you to kind of compartmentalize it. The other thing is, if you still would prefer to use email, Canvas allows you to set it up where your emails leaving from here, they do go to email, to your e-courses or not e-courses, your PVAMU email. You could have it set up where they go to your Gmail, all of those types of things. You're able to do that. And there's different tools that can show accessibility. I know to researchers and to myself, accessibility can be frustrating, but we all have to do it. So we have tools in Canvas to help make sure everybody is complying with accessibility. But this is just caption research that someone did for our department. Okay, wanted to show you that really quickly. So at this point, I'm going to stop talking and allow you to ask me any more questions that you may have that I maybe didn't catch in the chat. Thank you. Yes, CIITS is definitely our email address. Let's see. This is a great question. When will Interfolio be implemented for full faculty post-tenure reviews? Please don't apologize for all these questions. Thank you. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the full implementation of Interfolio will be fall 2000. I don't know if Stephanie is still on here. Stephanie, you may want to chime in the chat to tell us when that implementation will be. She's someone on our team who's implementing that. Thank you, Dr. Moore. Thank you for joining us. But that's definitely depending on your department, we're now implementing it by college. So we may not have gotten to you yet, but we'll be implementing it soon in your area. There are 3 phases of it. And so we're slowly implementing the 3 phases. So that'll come soon. Any other questions? I hope that we see lots of emails where you're sending them to us to support so that we can figure out how to support you. I hope that you're doing that.
Charlene, could
okay,
you?
Great, Stephanie answered you. Fall 2022. So we still have a lot to do, but he's asking for when will Interfolio be implemented fully. Again, we have 3 components of it. So different parts will be implemented at different times. So that's it. Any other thing, Ms. Cotton?
Yes, you mentioned using e-courses for research projects for groups of people to sort of get together and house their information.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about how that is different? Is it more secure? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I'll go back to. In the university institution, you think about a bank. What's the most secure thing at a bank? It's your money. In our institution, as far as content technology, the most secure thing are student grades. So e-courses is secure for that reason. Even when the cyber attack occurred, it did not affect e-courses. As a matter of fact, e-courses was still available. Canvas was still available. It was just that the university's access to it was hampered. So many of that is in the cloud and it's very secure. It is set up where only the people you give access to would have access. So it is as secure as our class content, as all of that. So we definitely, not just at Prairie View, even at the other institutions in Texas A&M, all those other institutions, they use this as their area to secure, you know, the research that they may have. So that's what I would say. And again, I use the term class, but I'm going to say container because maybe it's really not a class. Maybe it's a set of people that you want to come together. The reason I like the Canvas is because it has it where maybe you just want to have this robust discussion. The discussion could be via video or typing. It has all of these tools to make it easier for you to, you know, be able to access things. So that's why I say this would be a great place because the tools it's going to make your life easier when it comes to the tools that it has available to support what the researcher is trying to do. I hope that answers.
It does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Guzman has a question.
Thank you so much for this presentation. It's excellent. I just real quick question regarding Interfolio. In the past, we've been encouraged by our deans, for example, and chairs to register for Google Scholar, ResearchGate, Scholar Works,
Mm-hmm.
Digital Commons. I'm wondering, is this like similar to that, like a 4th or 5th thing, or it's overwhelming. It's a lot. So which one should I choose?
Okay. That's a great question.
Google Scholar.
Google Scholar is the best out of those 4 or 5, not Interfolio.
Well, you can import from this. I'm taking over, but you can import from Google Scholar to Interfolio.
Let me explain. Interfolio is really a faculty information system. think about Banner and Panther Tracks as a student information system. Before Interfolio, we did not have a faculty interface system. So what it does is it's going to be a place to house all things faculty. For instance, there's a component on, Stephanie, go through the 3 ones for me. What are those 3?
I'm putting them in the chat.
Okay, great, thank you. So with these 3 components, it gives you an opportunity to, number one, it's probably the new place your CV will be housed. That's one. Another place is a research place where if someone is looking for you as an expertise, that's the one I talked about earlier. The third one is, I'm waiting for her to put it in here. Okay.
It's faculty search.
Thank you. She also, the other one is research. The other one thing she has in here, she has the faculty 180. She's giving you like the faculty activities. What are you doing? That's one that would be in here regarding Interfolio. So when we say Interfolio is not comparison to Google Scholar or some of those other ResearchGate. It's not another one of those. It's an on-campus place for all of your research faculty information. Even it lists the courses that you're teaching each semester. That's what it's about. So what Stephanie was saying was, if you use research that you're pulling from Google Scholar can be automatically, or there's a way to import that, but not so much the other tools. Okay?
Got you. And so you would suggest we register and import or upload as much information as possible into the Interfolio one?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Stephanie. Any other questions?
And the Interfolio information that is visible to whom?
It will depend. It can be set up by department or potentially by user. So it can depend, because there's some powerfulness to it where it's potential that there may be something that you don't want available to the public quite yet. So it definitely can depend.
And is that available for faculty and staff?
That's a good question. I think what we're doing right now is because it's focused on staff. The other one that I didn't remember was promotion. That's the other area. It will be used for the promotion of faculty. That's going to be the official place also. I believe that it can be used for staff. I just think that'll be phase 4. I don't think that it'll start out as fast, because we know that there's some staff who do research and things too, who are experts in things, but they're not necessarily teaching. They're not the first go round at all. They'll be secondary, and it'll be very simple to implement, to add them in. We just want to get the faculty onto it, because part of it is the faculty are going to have to go out there and build some of their things. You think about it right now, everybody has their CVs, some are in Word, some are in PDF. So there's no like database of information. This now becomes a database of faculty information. The unfortunate part is it has to be built in the beginning. So that's the process that Stephanie is supporting by training and building your, the CVs and your research and all of that. I know that it came to a point we had a leadership at Prairie who were limiting CVs to 2 pages. And that was ludicrous to so many researchers. But in this case, you would be able to list your extensive research, but then if you had to only produce a small portion of it, you'd be able to do that easier than, crunching down, having 2 CVs that you have to worry about keeping updated and all of that kind of thing. This tool will support that.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? While you think about that, if you would just be sure to follow the link and complete the brief survey. The link is in the chat. If you will complete that brief survey so that we understand how to better serve you as we plan for these Research and Innovation Training Institute sessions, and give us some feedback on the session today. As a reminder, again, on Wednesday, we have a grant writing workshop. And if you haven't already done so, please register for the Research and Innovation Week on April 5th through the 6th. Dr. Stubblefield, this has been amazing. I'm speaking it into existence. This has been amazing information. Thank you so much for sharing. And Stephanie, thank you for jumping in to help as needed. Thank you all for the wonderful questions. And please go to visit the CIC Center in the library. It is an amazing space, and they have wonderful staff there to help you with whatever you can dream of. They have staff there that can support you and help you with it. So thank you so much for enlightening us today. And we'll see you next Monday for another reading session. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.